My name is Marcus Hubbard. I'm a retired professional basketball player. I'm from Palm Beach County, Florida, and my goal in life right now is to inspire not only the youth but people in general to believe that anything is possible.
Okay, Marcus, you're from West Palm Beach, Florida. Talk about your upbringing in the city of West Palm.
Well, I mean, growing up, we moved around all around the city of Riviera, and Morrow Heights Park, Goodmark Park, S Avenue. But a little about who I am. I was raised by a single mother in poverty. I never met my father. My mom passed away when I was 14 years old due to HIV/AIDS and cancer at the same time. But I persevered through a lot of those things, to begin to play basketball, and basketball gave me a way out of the hood. And I eventually reached basketball's highest pinnacle, which was the NBA. And I just want to give my story back to the kids, to anybody who's trying to pursue whatever it is they want in life, the inspiration and the ups and downs of what we go through as athletes.
You talked about losing your mother at a young age. Talk to me about your impact and how that affected you going into your high school life.
Well, sadly, I needed it. My mom she was very sick and she was going through a lot. So, when she passed away, it allowed me to be able to have more freedom to play basketball, because when she was alive, I was her caretaker and I wasn't able to go out and play basketball, meaning AAU or middle school ball, like I wanted to, because somebody had to be there to do the things she couldn't do. And when she passed away, that door opened for me to go and play basketball. And although I was a problematic child in the sense of what I went through as a child with my mother, seeing her just fade, lose her breast, lose her vision, lose her mobility and all of those things, having to change her diapers, having to bathe her. After seeing all that, I was a problematic child when it came to conflict. But basketball kind of, it slowed me down. As we talked about Coach Hans, he came in and showed me a better way how to, fight against the feelings that I had to be angry. And I channeled that energy through basketball, and, I made it out.
So you played your senior year of basketball at Palm Beach Lakes Community High School, and you mentioned your high school basketball coach, Coach Lorenzo Hans.
Mm-hmm.
What role did Coach Hans play in your life as a father figure?
So Coach Hans played a role that I don't even think he knows he played in my life. Coming from where I came from, the hood that I came from, ain't nobody have a daddy. There wasn't no fathers around to show us the right way, to show us that it's all right to feel certain emotions, that it's all right to just have a family, to do all the right things in life. And when I came to Palm Beach Lakes, I was pretty much rogue. Like I was, still gangster, still thug, still living in my old ways. And I learned very fast that in order to have new positions in life, you got to get rid of old ways. Old ways won't work in new situations. And Coach Hans brought that to my life. Seeing somebody who went to college, a Division I college, and graduated and came back, to be a high school coach, there was a lot of professionalism that came with that. Seeing him married, seeing him raise his kids, all of that made me want those things. So when it came to me developing into a man, Coach Hans always played a role that I don't even think he realized he played. Also, Coach Marshall played a vital role in that. I remember going to his house just to get to school in the morning. And I got to give a lot of credit to my coach at R.J. Henley Christian Education Center, the first high school I went to. He played a major role in my development as well, just giving me the confidence that, son, you can shoot, you can play basketball, just continue to dedicate yourself, stay out the streets. So it wasn't just one person that helped me to get to where I was, it was many people. And I thank them all for that.
So you mentioned that you've been playing basketball, or you started playing basketball only 3 years going into your high school career, and you were still able to play at a very, very high level. Talk about some of your favorite high school stories with your teammates, and we'll talk about the experiences of leading Lakes to a 30-12 record.
No, you said 30-12, but we were 31-3 to be exact. 31-3. But the experiences that I have from my high school playing career, like I said, I only played 3 years of high school basketball. And when I jumped on the scene in high school, everybody was thinking like, man, look at this kid, he can hoop, he can do this, he's just this raw talent. But people didn't realize when I was changing my mother's diapers, when I was giving her IVs, when I was feeding her, helping her out with my little brother and little sisters, cleaning the house, I would go outside and get my basketball and just dribble. Just walk up and down the street, see how many times I can go between my legs, forward and walking backwards. I would go to the basketball court, no matter if it was raining or whatever it was, and just shoot free throws. Just shoot all the time. So I've been started playing. I just didn't play any organized ball. But when my opportunity came to play, I was already ready because I didn't waste that downtime that I had. So to go back to your question, my greatest high school moment came in the barbershop. We used to get our haircut, my brother and I, on J Avenue by a man named Eddie, Mr. Ed, and I was in his shop getting my haircut, and this older guy was waiting on his haircut, but he was reading the newspaper. And he told my barber, he was like, man, some kid named Marcus Hubbard had 54 points last night. And I'm like, that's me. He talking about me, I'm in the newspaper. So that moment right there, although I wasn't playing in the moment, when he said that, I knew right then I got a gift. And from that point on, it was up. It's gonna be good here.
So you left Palm Beach Lakes and you decided to go where for college?
I signed to Florida State. And I never wanted to go to college. So that's what a lot of people don't understand about my life. I never planned on going to college. I never truly planned on trying to make it to the NBA. Yeah, I was like every other kid in the hood saying I wanted to play in the NBA, but I wasn't truly believing that. But I signed to Florida State and I never showed up. I completely dropped out. I just did not want to leave my little brother. I didn't want to leave Palm Beach. I've never left Palm Beach. And like I said, basketball was only 3 years older than me. So all of this new attention and everything that was going so fast, not only was I afraid of it, I just didn't want it. I just couldn't grasp why I was receiving all of this because of the childhood I had. So I don't show up. They end up sending me to a junior college called Eastern Oklahoma State College. And I went there for 2 weeks, got homesick, bought my own Greyhound ticket, took me 2.5 days to come back home. Stupid mistake. I come home and I started hearing people in the gym, when I'm in the gym trying to play basketball, like, why are you home? What you doing? Man, this dude tripping. You start to hear all the chirp, you start hearing all that little stuff, and it got to me. And I got home and I started thinking about college again. I reached out to some people that I had to go back and call, college coaches from junior college that was trying to get me to come, but I thought I was too good for that. I reached back to them and I ended up going to Kilgore Junior College. And from that point forward, I ended up going to Angelo State. And from Angelo State, I signed with the Atlanta Hawks out of the Division II college. But before I even get to signing with the Hawks, even as a college athlete, I had a ton of success. It wasn't 1 year that I wasn't preseason player of the year. Every year that I played, I was always this person to be watched. But I didn't believe that I could make it to the NBA because I wasn't on the NBA's radar. And because I wasn't on the NBA's radar, I didn't want to give my all fully to basketball and then everybody around me see me fail. Because I didn't believe in myself at that magnitude. But my son, who's right here filming me as well, when his mother got pregnant, I knew right then I needed to apply myself more to basketball. And before he was born, I was in the warm-up lines, and I look around, I see the San Antonio Spurs sitting in the crowd. Then I see the Atlanta Hawks sitting next to them. And not believing in myself, I'm looking around the gym like, man, who they here for? After the game, they was there for me. And from that point forward, I completely dedicated myself to basketball, to my child. I completely dedicated myself just to being better, a better person. And from that point forward, I knew I was going to end up giving my life back to life. Like Horace Mann said, who's one of my favorite philosophers. He said, you should be ashamed to die until you have scored some victory for humanity. And I knew making it to that point, I was going to have to give back. And that's what my mission is right now, is just to give back.
What did you major in college and why?
Well, my first major was criminal justice. And then I remember my mom telling me, you know, before she died, you better not ever become a police officer or a lawyer or a judge, because those are dangerous jobs. And if you do, I'm going to hunt you. It was a joke, you know, but I went for criminal justice. Just didn't like it that much. And then I transferred that, I switched that major over to psychology and kinesiology.
So now you leave college. You decide to go to the draft, and you get signed by the Atlanta Hawks. What did that mean for you when you inked your name on that line?
I couldn't believe it. I mean, I want you to think about this. I only played 3 years of high school basketball. And all my mother taught me was how to be there, how to support her, how to truly love and care for somebody. Now, in my high school career, my college career, and my pro career, nobody has ever saw me play from my family. So I did it just pure blood, sweat, and tears. So when I got to the NBA's highest point, I was happy and I was excited. And it was just like, I got my first check. I couldn't believe it. Like, this is mine. This is what I'm getting. And it wasn't a lot of people that would share that moment with me. So I just started indulging myself in buying things. You know, just buying 3 phones for no reason. Just going to buy 4 or 5 watches just because. You know, I don't have no influence around me but my own friends, my teammates who are the same age as me. And they just as happy as me, and we just living life. So none of us have father figures to actually mentor us through this thing. But when I got to the NBA, man, a lot of people think you got to work so hard to make it. They don't understand how hard you have to work to stay there. I don't want to say making it is the easy part, but making it has nothing compared to staying there.
So you mentioned the path that it takes to get to the league is, you know, it's not as difficult as many think. You know, you a little bit of hard work, you can get to a certain level to get noticed, and then you may get an actual shot. But how do you fight off that 18-year-old that's fresh out of college, that one-and-done player that's been recruited since he was in the 3rd grade, and now you've been in the league for 1 or 2 years, and he's coming to take your job? How do you prepare and add stuff to your game that way he doesn't come in and replace you?
See, a lot of people, what they would do is get caught up in the moment. And when they get caught up in the moment of being the man in front of all these people with this new success, they don't understand and realize that 18-year-old is coming. And that 18-year-old is hungry. That 18-year-old was me. No mom, no dad. My grandma died shortly after that. So I was just out here. I was hungry. And I'm pretty sure I took somebody's spot. But you don't fight that kid off when you see him. Oh, the 18-year-old's in the draft, now I got to start working. No, when you make it to that point, you already got to remember, you have to remember that you was once that kid trying to make it. So once you make it, you have to stay consistent in your pursuit. You can't relax. You can't give in 1 second because the game only gets younger. It gets younger every single day. Injuries happen. You don't know the future. You don't know what's going to happen. So you don't start trying to make up time to keep this kid away from your contract when you see him. You have to remember he's coming because you came for somebody. Don't try to make up for it when you see him coming. Start the work when you get there. When you get there, people don't realize once you make it as a professional athlete, there's no more college. So there's no more schoolwork. There's no more all of this stuff. So it's a lot of free time now. And a lot of people will sleep all day and just go to practice. Then go home, sleep all day, party, go to practice. But you should be waking up at 4 in the morning, getting some work in. Go take a nap then. Come back to the gym later, lift some weights, do some running. Go do your thing. Still live life, but you got to pay it forward. You got to put in the work. Because if you're not going to do it, if you're not going to do your job at a high level, which is what a professional is, somebody else is always available to do it. All of us are self-made, but only the successful ones would admit it. You got that? We're all self-made, but the only people going to brag about that is the people that made it. The people that failed or quote-unquote failed, they're not going to come back and say, you know, I did this, I failed. Because they actually look at not reaching their goals as failure. My goal was to make it to the NBA, get a 7 to 8 year contract. It didn't happen, but I still made it to the league. And I'm going to come back and tell you about a whole nother side of this, man. So, the other side, I come, like I told you, man, no mom, no dad. No mom, no dad. I went to junior college and Division II. So my grind has always been, I got to do the utmost just to be seen. Not to get a contract, just to even be given a look. And a lot of people not going to come back and tell you how hard the other side is. It was times in the summer, man, when I had a 1-year-old kid with me, but I had to be in Denver for a workout, going to Oklahoma, then to Texas, then to LA. This was my grind. This was the summer for me. This is what I had to do in order to get those contracts that I did get. Even in the D-League and overseas, it's not easy. And a lot of people aren't being straight up and honest and real, man, and telling you guys that in order for you to get from point A to point B, it's going to cost you something. It's not going to be easy. You can't do what the coach is telling you to do. You got to do more than that. You got to do what that conscience is telling you to do. And your conscience is going to tell you one or two things, to do it or not to do it, that you're tired or you're not tired. And a lot of people listen to their conscience and say, I'm too tired, I'll get up and do it again. I'll get up tomorrow and do it, but sometimes tomorrow never comes. So if you guys are trying to reach the NBA, set your goals to the NBA and go for it and go hard for it. And if you don't reach it, that does not mean you failed, because I can guarantee you, wherever you started at, if that's your goal, if you get started, you're going to end up way further than where you were. Just continue to push yourself, continue to pursue, and stay away from negative people. You'll never get to the point you want to be in life if your environment isn't conducive to that.
So, Marcus Hubbard, giving back to the community. You know, you've been doing a lot of community service projects with your turkey giveaways, putting together travel basketball programs, basketball clinics. You know, what's next for Marcus Hubbard in terms of his community service?
It's just to continue to pursue it. Continue to be the biggest inspiration that I can be to my community. And I don't mean that in a braggadocious way. I told my son, when we moved back to Florida, I want the key to the city. I didn't say I want $1 million. I don't want a Bentley. I don't want this big beachfront mansion. I said I want the key to the city so that I can give back. So that I can open up doors that it's hard to get into right now. And that's my whole thing, is to give back to my community. Just to give back to people. I deal with people right now, man, who's well off. Who's well off, but it's the information that they lack, that they contact me for, to get through life. Everybody needs somebody. And I want to be that somebody for anybody that needs it.
Okay, so the last question that I have for you, which is a personal question for me.
Mm-hmm.
What sparks the motivational speaking? What made you say, you know what, this is the route that I want to take?
So, when I was younger, everybody knows me that I used to love DMX. And because I love DMX, I always had pit bulls. You know, even when we couldn't afford it, man, if somebody's slipping, I'm going to take that dog. I want me a pit bull too. So, I've always had a group of people around me called the Dog Pound. That's what we used to call ourselves, but they always followed me. Like if somebody wanted to fight, I'd be like, nah, don't do it. They would stop. Somebody wanted to fight, I'm like, let's do it. They're going to do it. So people always listen to me. But what actually sparked me to become an inspirational speaker was in the D-League, in the locker room. We was losing at halftime and my teammates were going back and forth, you know, just arguing, blaming, pointing the finger, blaming everybody for why we were losing. And I just stood up, man, and I said something that I keep in the locker room. You know, I keep it there, but I said something I didn't even try to say. It just came out. And we came out and we won. And I retired the same year. And I told myself I want to be a motivational speaker. And I know it's going to be hard. I didn't retire with Kobe Bryant money. You know, and I was thinking that, you know, I'm somebody that made it from the hood to basketball's highest level. When I start this motivational speaking, it's going to be easy. I got a story. That wasn't the case. I still had to get out here and do the work. I still had to get out here and fail over and over. I still had to go through humiliation. I had to be disappointed. I had to be fearful of a lot of things. I had to learn a lot of lessons that basketball never taught me. Basketball never taught me half the lessons I've learned since I retired. Now, it taught me some great ones when it comes to commitment, hard work, dedication, sacrifice. It taught me those things. But when it comes to humiliation, fear, depression, being disappointed, you know, the lack of, life taught me that in this aspect of my life. And I've grown so much from learning these things. And a lot of people are afraid to go for what they want in life because of the things that I just named. Not understanding that we have to fail. We have to be humiliated. Mike Tyson said, if I can't be humiliated, I don't want to do it. Because knowing that I can be humiliated gives me the focus that I need to give my all in my craft. And I didn't realize that humiliation, that I needed it. And when I came here to be this, you think it wasn't people on social media like, who do you think he is? I mean, out loud, this dude is a motivational speaker. Like it's something bad. This dude is helping kids. He's training kids. He used to be in the NBA, now he's training kids.
Okay, Marcus, so in closing here, what are you going to say to that 12-year-old kid, that 12-year-old boy or girl that's looking at this interview and saying, okay, I want to be like you? Well, what's that final advice or word of encouragement you have for them?
Well, what I want to say is, we all have dreams. We all have goals. We all, when we're kids, we really believe in anything that we can do. When Matilda, we know the movie Matilda. When Matilda came out, I don't know one kid that was probably not in their rooms trying to levitate things with their mom, trying to close the doors and stuff like that with their mom, because we saw this little girl on TV doing it. And as an immature kid, you thinking, I can do that. And behind closed doors, you really believe that you can do that stuff. I really believe that I can do some of the stuff she was doing if I just believed hard enough. But the older we get, the more life tells us no, the more life beats us down, the more we lose that childhood belief in ourselves. And that's exactly what you need to accomplish whatever it is you want. It's belief, a deep belief in you. If you don't believe in you, it won't happen. Because God knows if you're worthy of it or not. So my message to you is the dream that you have, hold it, grab it and squeeze onto it. And don't tell nobody. Work when nobody's paying attention. And that's when you have the most growth in your life. And don't worry about it. When you focus on the goal, when you know what you want and you go for it, don't worry about failure. Don't worry about people leaving your life. Don't worry about being humiliated. These are all things that we need. These are character building processes in life. Don't compare yourself to anyone. Just go for yours. And if you don't reach it, you'll be better off than where you were. AIP.